You know, so what? Welcome back, folks. Hour number 3. Kevin Sorbo. You know him as Hercules. You know him as the star of a movie, God Is Not Dead. But there are some things you also don't know about him that we will tell you about how he almost died and how he has reacted to that. Kevin Sorbo will be here momentarily. Also, Governor Bobby Jindal, the governor of the great state of Louisiana, will be here to talk about Common Core, and I'm sure he'll want to weigh in on the President of the United States standing before the whole world just moments ago as we broke as it happened here on this show and said, we don't have a strategy on ISIS yet. I mean, what are we watching? What are we watching? Who are we watching? To think that we don't have a strategy is bad enough, and that's one thing. Let's put that here. To stand up and tell ISIS and tell the world and tell every terrorist that a month or more after we had acknowledged that they started chopping off the heads of Christian children, but years in the making, ISIS, that we still don't have a strategy. Weakness? Can you say weakness? Can you spell it? Can you put it up in neon lights? So, I just give up. I just give up. But we'll talk about it with Bobby Jindal and much, much more. But I've been a fan of Kevin Sorbo. He's been in the studio with me, and I want you to see a little scene from his movie, God Is Not Dead, or God's Not Dead. Here it is. Watch.
Wheaton, Josh Wheaton, philosophy 150.
You might want to think about a different instructor.
Come on, man, it can't be that bad.
Think Roman Coliseum, people cheering for your death.
I'm Professor Radisson. This is Philosophy 150. I would like to bypass senseless debate altogether and jump to the conclusion, which every sophomore is already aware of: there is no God. All that I require from each of you is that you fill in the papers I've just given you with 3 little words: God is dead.
All right, folks, and joining us now is Kevin Sorbo, the star of God's Not Dead, and, of course, former Hercules star, and author of the book True Strength, My Journey from Hercules to Mere Mortal, and how nearly dying saved my life. Hey, Kevin, good to see you again.
Hey, good to see you as well. Last time I was in studio, but you know, we're bi-coastal now.
We are bi-coastal. Not that there's anything wrong with that, whatever that means. I just Seinfeld came to mind.
It works for me. I think of the same thing.
All right. So first of all, congratulations. The movie was a great success, and now it's out on DVD.
It is. You know, it's crazy. It's fans out there that kept this thing alive in theaters for over 3 months. A little $2 million movie. And it made over $63 million here in the States, and I've heard it's made over $20 million overseas. It's still airing in 33 countries, and now it's out on Walmart. It's out at Target, DVD, VOD, Redbox, Netflix. You can get it anywhere. So thank you to all those that kept this movie going.
All right, and you attribute that to what? I mean, are you surprised that $2 million movie with this theme would make $60 million bucks plus?
Well, I think anybody's surprised if any $2 million movie makes that kind of money. Even Hollywood would be surprised. But I knew we had a good product. We knew we had something good here, and it really came down to an amazing advertising campaign on a no budget for advertising. Because what PureFlix did. PureFlix is the people that put this out. I've done 5 movies with them. I recommend What If. It's a wonderful movie I did with them. It was the first movie I shot with them over 4 years ago. And what they did is at the end of the movie, they told people in the movie theater to text, God is not dead. They said, God's not dead. And people were getting text messages, and I go, what is this about? And so people went to see the movie because they were getting bombarded by their friends who went and saw this movie. So it was a pretty smart way to get a message out there about the movie.
And of course, the irony of you playing a professor, touting the fact that there is no God and God is dead, and of course nothing could be further from the real Kevin Sorbo.
That's true. That's true. But you know, I love the part. Read the part. They said, "Hey, this movie's going to be a little controversial." And I said, "Well, what movie isn't? You're always going to get critics both ways. I mean, no matter what you put out there, people are going to have negative people, positive people. That's just life. You know, it's like being a referee in a basketball game. You're always going to have half the crowd mad at something." So, but it was, you know, it kind of shows Hollywood that, you know, they're not really paying attention to all those middle states that they call flyover states between California and I'm sorry, not Washington, but New York City. they call them flyover states. Well, there's people living in those states, and there are people that care about values, care about morals, they care about a product that's coming out of Hollywood that they don't want their kids to see. And now here's a movie that's family friendly, shows very interesting point of view from the atheist, very interesting point of view from the Christian. People can decide for themselves if they think God is real or God is not real, and it just hit a chord with people, and it's been pretty interesting.
And Kevin, you made some remarks about atheists. Recently, you said that atheists, and I want to make sure I got it right, are angry because they secretly know God exists and is judging them. Now, I'm with you. You also went on to say, you know, you see them all over TV on Fox and here as if they represent a significant portion of the population, when I don't even think the atheists that run these groups that appear on TV even represent atheists, to be honest with you, just like Sharpton doesn't represent blacks or you know. But what did you mean by it? So you say that a lot of these so-called atheists are phony or are not telling the truth? They're not atheists?
You know what it is? I don't get when I see these guys. I've got atheist friends. We've had wonderful discussions. We part as friends. We're not angry and mad at each other for my belief and their non-belief. I find it interesting. I love debates. But what amazes me when I see these guys on TV is the amount of anger and hatred. Like their veins are popping out of their necks and they're angry. And I laugh at it because I'm going, wait a minute. Why are you so angry about something you don't believe in? Why are you offended by nativity scenes? Why do these jokers get the power to take down nativity scenes in front of government buildings, office buildings, whatever, downtown, whatever it may be? Because they say it offends them. If you don't believe in something, how can anything that has to do with that offend you? I don't get it. It offends 90% of the people in this country when those nativity scenes get pulled down. Right. Because the vast majority of people I've seen on all the polls I've seen through all the years I've been around this country are that people believe in something, whether they want to call it God or whatever it is. They believe there's a higher power. Why do we not get a voice? Why does the smallest percentage get the bigger voice in this country now?
Well, why is that? I mean, you're in Hollywood, and of course you've dealt with the media. Why does the media, and for the most part, Hollywood and the elites there, why is that true, what you just said?
I wish I could answer that question. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, it's weird to me where we're going in this country. We are losing freedom of speech. The political correct world is taking over because someone's going to be offended by something that somebody said. You know, you can say, I like the color blue. Well, a person who hates blue is going to sue you for saying that. I mean, it's insane to where we're going right now, and it's sad. I mean, we need to hopefully we're reaching a tipping point where the majority are saying, you know, enough is enough. And I think we're starting to reach that. I think people are getting a little more vocal about saying, guys, this is ridiculous.
I also want to let the people know, in your book, True Strength, you talk about how you nearly died and how that, you know, changing your life, you know, really contributed to making you a stronger person. Talk about that. It was while you were doing Hercules, right?
It was at the end of season 5. I was coming back. I lived in New Zealand for 7 years. I had 2 more years left on my contract. I was coming back to the States to do a movie. I was doing a promotional bit for Cull the Conqueror, which was my first big action motion picture I did. Then I was going to start another action movie in Atlanta, Georgia. And but my arm had been bugging me for a long time. And before I had a chance to do anything about it, it ended up being an aneurysm that opened up, sent hundreds of clots in his arm, but unfortunately 3 clots went in my brain. So I suffered 3 strokes, and obviously I could have been killed instantly, but 2 strokes went to my balance center, 1 went to my vision. I still had 10% loss in both eyes. But I spent the next 4 months, I had to drop out of the movie, obviously, that I was going to do, because I really couldn't operate very well. I had spent the next 4 months learning how to balance and walk again. And then when I went to New Zealand to start season 6 on Hercules, I went from a 14-hour day to a 1-hour day. Next month, 2 hours. Next month, 3. I mean, I slowly worked my way back up, but it took me 3 full years to recover. And the book really is a motivational book about, you know what? At one time in our life, we're all going to hit that wall. It doesn't matter what age you are. That's going to post, you know, a huge stressful bit of your life is going to be hit upon. And how do you react to that? How do you react to almost dying if you're lucky enough to survive not dying? And that's what the book's about. It's about motivational. It's about not letting anybody set limitations, especially doctors, nurses, family, friends, and especially really yourself. Because for me, I went through, I mean, not only just physical, but psychological. I suffered panic anxiety attacks. I mean, it was a weird, it was tough. It was hard for me to relate to being a guy in my 30s in better shape than most guys that are athletes in their 20s to all of a sudden be a guy that you think gets strokes when you're 90 years old. So it was a tough transition
No,
for me.
I can't even imagine, obviously. And of course, your whole career and what you do is based on your ability to speak and be physical. And here you're suffering what you just described. And I can't imagine what you're thinking while it's all happening, even while you're recovering.
Yeah, I mean, then go to truestrengthbook.com to find out more information. There's a video on there, and they can find the book and, you know, Amazon. It's all over the place. I do a lot of speaking engagements. I've got 7 more lined up this year alone, where I go to churches, hospitals, doctors, nurses, bookstores, wherever, and I do speaking engagements. And it's been amazing to see people come up to me that have survived not only strokes but car crashes, cancer survivors, heart attack survivors that have said the book has motivated them to stop feeling sorry for themselves.
No,
you know,
that's got to be great inspiration for you. One more, we got the midterms coming up. You think the people, we have reached a tipping point on so many levels, we got a minute left, you think they're going to speak in November?
You know, I hope so. I think we need to. I think this country needs to be taken back. We're going a completely opposite direction, and people need to wake up and see that. I mean, the reason why history repeats itself is nobody reads history. There's never been a socialist country that has had long-term success. There's never been a communist country. People aren't rushing to move to Russia. People aren't rushing to move to Cuba. They still want to come to America, but we have so many problems in this country. You look at Watergate, that pales in comparison to Benghazi, to the guns running down in Mexico, to the IRS scandal. I mean, the list goes on, but it shows you where we've come now in this country, where people go, oh, well, what the heck? I mean, we're so apathetic to what's happening at D.C. that it's very, very sad, and we need to turn it around.
All right, Kevin, great talking to you. Of course, God's Not Dead out on DVD, and True Strength, the book. Kevin Sorbo, great talking to you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks. Anytime. I appreciate it.
Take care. All right, folks, very interesting conversation. And coming up next, another one with Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.